This is the Working Writer Podcast, episode 56. Hey, it's time once again for the Working Writer Podcast. We're glad you are here. In just a minute, we're going to give you two guests this week. That's right, two. Writer, producer, and director Jakob Bilinski and stage and screen actor Emily Durchholz. I had to learn how to pronounce her name. I know. But first, I am your host, Brad Staggs, as always, and that guy right over there is producer Dave Bennell. What's going on this week, Dave?
Oh, not a whole lot. Just loving life and preparing things. This is going to be a fun one for me. I've worked with Jake numerous times, and actually Emily once before too. We, I want to say 2018, we got together and wrote a script and then shot it the next day, just with the three of us. And it's actually it's called Drinks, and it's actually available online. And it was the first time I ever acted for a long period of time in something.
Where is it available online?
It is on Prime. Ooh. It's probably on Tubi. But yeah, it's about a 25-minute short. It's called Drinks, and it's just me and Jake, and then Emily plays a side character in it. And then, but they're great people, and just really fun to work with, and super talented.
I'm just going to make you feel old here. You realize that's 8 years ago now.
Oh, I'm aware.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
It's crazy how time flies. I mean, some of the kids now, when I mention something, I'm like, oh, this is from the 90s, and they're like, the 1900s? And I'm like, don't you ever say that.
I will backhand you. No.
Like, it makes me feel like I have a horse and buggy when I went to school. But, like, it's also, like, it's interesting trying to tell technology.
Yeah.
When we had Mark David a couple weeks ago, he talked about shooting with film, and then with Peter, talked about, shooting with film. And I know Jake started out shooting film. And then we also have people that have never even touched film.
Right.
And just it's NAB week here, just to pull back the curtain about what's going on in the world. And I'm seeing so many cameras and technology that is just completely changing the game. As far as one that I saw that DaVinci Resolve is an amazing editing program and coloring program that is also now an effects program and a photo edit, like everything. It does everything. But one of their new features that they just released this week is a de-aging face filter and aging face filter. So basically, you can mask your which you always could have done this. You would tracked it by hand and like,
yeah.
But now it's you just basically go in there and be like, I need this person to look a little older in the scene, or I need you to look a little younger, and it's right in there. I have not got a chance to play with it. I'm probably going to try to do something this weekend. Maybe I'll make Brad look young again. I don't know.
I never looked young. I didn't.
Don't make me bring up the Air Force photo again.
Oh my God. Oh. I know that he just brought up the Air Force photo, and I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. The hair alone is enough to make most people just jump off a bridge. I understand. It was the 80s, okay? That's my only excuse. That's the 1900s for those of you who are young. We were in our Flintstone mobiles and going from place to place.
I don't think with that hair you have to tell anyone what time frame it is.
No, it's very clear. It's extremely clear that it was the 80s. I know. Anyway, so I've got a question for you this week. You went from here in Indiana, for those of you who don't know, if it hasn't been perfectly obvious in the past, I'm in Indianapolis. Dave started out here in Indiana, but then you moved to New York, and then from New York out to San Francisco. What is the difference in filming and getting a crew and doing the job between those three different places? Because I know what it's like here in Indiana. I've got an inkling of New York, just a little bit, but I've not shot anything out in Frisco. So what's the difference that we're looking at between those three places?
A lot of it is legal and permitting, to where back in the Midwest, you could just kind of show up somewhere and start shooting, and as long as you don't have like a massive crew and you're shutting things down, no problem. Out here and in New York, it's like permits. I remember I was told if you're going to shoot anything on the streets of New York, just handheld it, because you can get away with that rather than if you have to set up like a tripod and everything, because people will be like, hey, that's an equipment, it's touching the ground, you need a permit for that. So a lot of permits, the way people react to it, to where if we go to Indiana and you're like, hey, I really love your car, is there any way we could borrow it for the afternoon, and they're like, yeah, they'll drive it. Well, they'll do donuts for you and burn out and do all kinds of cool stuff that they normally wouldn't do because they're excited to be in a movie. Now, in New York or LA or San Francisco, it's more like, yes, I would like to see your $3 million insurance policy. I would like for you to have a car for me during that time that you are going to be driving my car. And I also want to make sure that you have a professional stunt person behind the wheel. And if anything happens to it, we're going to have to put money in escrow as a bond just in case, so I need to fix it. So it's a lot more hoops, a lot more technical things. Location-wise, I mean, you cannot beat the beauty of California. Like you can go anywhere. In a day's time, I can go from a mountain to a beach to a desert, like easily in a day's time out here. And to where Indiana is a little more bland, but if you are smart in the way you shoot things, you can make it look like other things. We have places like Turkey Run, and Jake, he's going to talk, I'm sure he's going to talk about Guardian of the Gods, or Garden of the Gods. This is in Southern Illinois that he went and shot parts of Confession in that I showed him. But it's really, I have been a sound person. I've been trying to get somebody to do this, is to shoot the majority of a film in Indiana, all the interiors, and then come out to New York or LA and we'll shoot exteriors. And because like when you're inside a house, you don't know know where you're at.
And immediately outside the house too. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I just think there's so much that could be used there. And Jake did a lot of that with compression. I know there are several scenes that he shot years before that film that we worked on a television show together, and we were traveling, and we went to Las Vegas to do some shoots there, and him and Emily would just go off, and he was just shooting B-roll, and he's like, "What are you doing it for?" He goes, "I have no idea, but it does end up in that film," and he's like, "I know I'm going to need this. I know I want to use it, and that's production value," and I think that's the biggest thing when you're talking about New York or California is the production value looks bigger than the typical, Indiana fields and stuff. But I think where Indiana has it is you're going to have a much easier time doing interiors there because the people are going to be much more friendly, and you're probably going to get a lot of stuff that you wouldn't be able to get out here.
I think it also depends on where you're shooting, because where you and I used to work, a place called Muscatatuck Training Center in southern Indiana, is a post-apocalyptic film set. It really is. It's a military training facility, but it rents out for film as well. And a quick story about that we had a train, destroyed train trestle with actual train cars in the pit that looked like they had been blown off this train trestle. And we had a Hollywood production using it for How to Survive the End of the World was the name of the production. And I was standing with the producer near this train, and I asked her, "How much would this cost you in California?" And she said, "Well, first we have to find the site. We'd have to rent the site. We'd have to build the train. Then the site would cost about $10,000 a day rental just to be there. And then we'd have to clean it up, take the train back, et cetera, and so on." So all those costs.
You probably also have to do like an environmental assessment before and after to make sure you didn't impact the land.
Right. Rental cost for this at that time, $12 a day. And I asked her, so we're not breaking your budget with $12 a day to rent this whole thing? And she just looked at me like I had three heads.
I'm actually surprised that the Sci-Fi Channel hasn't moved their headquarters to Muscatatuck and just like constantly shooting things out there. It hasn't come out yet, but a reality show shot there last year. Like I said, just in the last 3 years, I know because I was involved with two of them, two films that we talked with Anthony and Mark with about one of them that was shot there. It's a bang for the buck. It really is. And in the Midwest, I think that's what we have to offer here is the biggest bang for your buck that you're spending for the shots that you can get here. Like you said, you can go out to LA and do interiors or whatever with stars to throw into the film. But you can just get it on the cheap so much here. Yeah, it's kind of nice because like I think one of the third or fourth film I ever shot that I actually used you. They said they were here to help. Mm-hmm. That movie looks like I kind of had a budget, but I used a lot of I used we used Muscatatuck at night. We just went around and shot stuff, and then I cut it with B-roll of an actual exercise that I shot at night, and just seamlessly made it look like it was all happening at once. And yeah, I could put that against a movie that had hundreds of thousands of dollars in budget and be like, yeah, it's equivalent. Like, you could really do it. It helps so much with production value.
And here's a little hint to folks we don't talk about a lot coming from the military. There's a lot of military footage being taken that you can go out and find on a website called dvidshub.net.
That's how I was able to use my stuff.
Right. The little secret is that anything that is shot by the military and released to the public belongs to the public. You can use it. Hint, you can use it. Fun
fact, love me some trashy, low-budget horror movies, and some weekends I'll just throw it up there. We had an office at Camp Atterbury, which is a base in Indianapolis, and there's this, south of Indianapolis. Yeah. But there's this picture of somebody from an exercise, and it's a decent picture. It's a soldier, and I believe there's like purple smoke in the background, and it's a pretty nice photo, but it's hanging up in the public affairs area. So I'd seen it multiple times, and I was watching, just had something in the background playing while I was doing something on a weekend, and it was the cinematic masterpiece Zombie Strippers, I believe, starring Jenna Jameson, and there's a part where they're talking military, and they cut to that photo.
Right.
As they use it as B-roll in a news story, and I'm like, how could they do that? And then that's when I learned that basically anything the military shoots, it's kind of up for grabs in that way for training, as long as it's not classified.
If it has been released to the public, it's not classified, or if it is, it shouldn't have been released to the public. It is up for grabs to use however you want. So if you find military footage, there's some ne'er-do-well companies that try to sell government footage to you. You don't need them. You can get it for free.
The Jim Wynorski started a company.
Just putting that out there. Just going to say that. So
yeah, it's so funny how many people go out and do that, and if you don't know, you think you're getting a great deal. You're like, oh man, I can't believe this is awesome. I get all this footage. It's like, yeah, this guy, he gave me the rights to use a Night of the Living Dead in my movie. It's like, nobody owns it. Like, that's public domain. You can do whatever you want with it. Like, if you paid him, then you need to get your money back.
Right. So just look for those little things, little hints that you could save yourself some money and get bigger production value. But hey, let's get to our guests, because we're going to have a great talk. I've been looking forward to this. So let's go ahead and dive into it and talk to Jake and Emily right now. Today, ladies and gentlemen, you get a twofer, a BOGO, one might say. Two guests for one low price. First of all, we have award-winning producer, director, writer, pretty much does everything whatsoever behind the camera and in front of. Also the owner of Cinefreak Productions, Jakob Bilinski. But wait, there's more, as they always say in the commercials that we all absolutely love. That's right. Along with them, in order to keep them in line, out of trouble, is always the award-winning actor, producer, and president of Evansville Civic Theater, Emily Durchholz. Welcome. What? Did I pronounce your name right? Please tell me I pronounced the last name right.
It's so close. It's Durchholz. So
you go with the hard C. Okay.
Yeah.
Emily Durchholz. We got it.
Emily Durchholz is good, or Duck Hunter.
Thank you so much for coming on and doing this today. We appreciate having you.
Thank you for having us. We're excited to be here.
Yeah.
I love it when people lie to me like that. Okay. We're going to get started. I always start off first question on these with probably the most important question that I can find to ask my guests. So my first question is actually to Emily.
Okay.
Because this fascinates me. You come from a theater background.
Yes.
Love your theater background. How do you deal with the hurry up and wait atmosphere of a film set?
Oh man. Well, I I like to gab, and that's a problem. For some shots, like I remember there was a day on set of Compression that my buddy Daniel Moser and I just kept singing musical theater at the top of our, like, it's
no.
probably a nightmare for anybody else, but we were having the time of our lives in our little bubble, and we had to, I'm pretty sure our AD Jasmine Withrow was like, guys, you have to stop, we're trying to focus on setting up this scene. So
That at least one time came from me asking her to ask you.
yeah, no, that's good. Yes, that's the way we needed it to be. But the hurry up and wait aspect is kind of nice sometimes, because the rehearsal process for theater, you're like going. You're doing all this repetition and getting ready for the big show. Then you do it over and over again from there. So the hurry up, it's just kind of another facet. It's kind of nice to be able to focus on small chunks at a time too, as far as my memorization brain goes. That was a plus for me. But yeah, the hurry up and wait aspect, I'm just so used to it now. It's just like, meh, yeah.
Yeah, no, you I think you handled it really well.
Oh, or I do start moving like light stands and stuff, like I'm helping the crew, and I have to get reminded, you are an actor now and you're not allowed to do that.
You do have trouble during the wait part. You find things to do to fill the waiting time.
I think at one point I put a sign on the, like, it's not my room, but in the house I had my own space that I could go off to, and I put a sign on the door saying, I'm looking at my lines, do not come in, I will talk to you, and I will not work on it.
Do not distract the talent.
I always have to ask, because my wife, being a theater person, cannot deal with a film set. Just cannot deal with it. So now we've got that out of the way, because I had to get the theater question going first. Jacob,
Yes.
we're going to talk about your writing.
Okay.
When you're writing for a lower budget production, I'm not going to say a micro budget, I'm not going to say a no budget, lower budget production. Now, when you're writing, do you have your budget in mind when you're writing, or do you write as big as you can and then pare it back depending on how much you got for that particular production?
Definitely the latter. Writer me has no concept of money or time.
Keep rolling.
Like, not even a little bit. Director me hates writer me. At this point, we're in a begrudging marriage, I guess. No, I always kind of like write just what makes sense. Following my gut. You know, like, oh, the story kind of, as you're writing, sometimes it sounds really hippie woo-woo, but like the story sort of tells you what it wants to be as you're writing it. Like a drama can become comedy, comedy can become horror, etc. I just kind of like mess with it until it feels right, and then I have to go into scientific deconstruction, logistical brain of, okay, well, but now how do you do that? The writing changes at that point, and the rewrite sometimes of, well, there is a more cost-effective, time-saving plan B.
In the arms of the angel.
That doesn't compromise the integrity of what I'm trying to do, and so we will modify to that and find the middle ground, and that usually comes through production. But in writing, no, I have no concept of that.
But what is it that gives you that motivation when you open that blank page? You may have an idea, but you've got that blank page. What is it that makes you actually put that first word on the page?
That's a really good question, Ron.
That's why I
I've
get paid
always
for it.
kind of always felt like this may be hyperbolic, but to me there are a few things in life that are more intimidating than a blank page, but that's also kind of exciting. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's intimidating, but it's more like, okay, well, how do we climb this mountain? How do we solve this problem? Because it's like, writing to me is rewriting. I hate I have to just kind of like vomit the first draft out. And I struggle with it because I always want to rewrite. And I'm like, okay, draft one is really draft like 3.5, but it's the first readable one. But I always have to kind of like break that apart and just make it make sense to me. Yeah, it's sort of a, I'm in the weeds here a little bit. It's a tricky process, but like I how I get the first words on the page, I wish I had a more concrete answer for you. I am very much of the I guess in the, I am not likening to this at all, but like I guess one of my cinematic heroes is David Lynch, and so I'm more of an emotional artist. Like there is a discipline, it is a craft, it is a job, there's a work ethic to it, but I do my best work when I'm feeling it. There are things you can do to combat writer's block, but for me, I always love how David Lynch talked about creating is like fishing. You know, you kind of have to just like, he was real into transcendental meditation, and like you have to be open to these ideas that kind of flow through you, like they're just there, and it's like fishing. You don't, like a chef, he always said, like, I'm just quoting my hero here, but like he said you don't something like you catch the fish. The chef doesn't make the fish. The chef catches the fish and prepares it. And ideas, when he talks about ideas being like that, it very much makes sense to me in a very like unique cerebral way, because sometimes I'll just be ruminating on something and an idea like a fish might just jump out and hit me in the face. Another one, you got to dig and you got to go a little more like, you know, deep sea fishing to get it, and it requires a lot of focus. So sometimes that's as simple as I have an idea of an image of a character that's being introduced, or a line of dialogue, or, you know, that first line of action that's just like, oh, what happens from there? Sometimes it's that. Sometimes it's just something I find interesting and it really ends up being like seen later. So it changes. I guess what I'm trying to say is it's very different from project to project. I've never had I write this script like the other one. The emotions and the structure of like the artistic process is always very, there's similarities, but it always feels like it's kind of like figuring it out for the first time, and it's different for me.
Now, Emily, does that mean that you have to look at how many drafts he's done and say, hey, it's either time to film now or stop?
There is a point that I don't get to see the early stuff. I might get to see a scene. I might get to see a scene, or he might ask me, okay, like if you were having this kind of a conversation, how would that play out? How can we make this sound more natural? But I'm usually getting the same draft that he sends to our friend Peter Matsukis, to our producing team.
Yeah, like the core.
And then I make my notes from there, and then he's receiving notes from his trusted advisors, and I might be the last one to read it. And he said, well, you might have to wait for the next version. But
it's getting, you know, it's like I said earlier, it's getting into a place where it's readable. Like, you know, like I'd be fine. So I don't want to get ahead. I have a draft of the new movie. Maybe we won't talk about that, but I'm in the rewrite of the next movie now. So, but like it's those early stages where it's just like, it's got to be me with the page. Even if I'm co-writing, sometimes it's like, it's conversations, then it's like, you got to let me go be alone in a room and like beat something up and then present it. Like I'm a very like hermetic kind of artist.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like he comes out of his cave and he presents the page says, okay, and then runs back to the cave. It says, okay.
I literally can hear, even though I can't see, I can hear David nodding right now.
You're goddamn right.
Now.
Yeah.
So now, does that mean, so when you're co-writing something, you don't sit in the same room and co-write. You have, like with Peter, he wrote part of it, gave it to you, you wrote part of it, et cetera, and so on. You don't just sit there and go back and forth with it.
No. I've had co-writing experiences in the past where it's been like, hey, here's an idea, you tackle this scene, I tackle this scene, and we'll put them together and we'll rewrite together. That has been helpful. But with compression specifically, like I said, each time it's different. That was, the genesis of that. Yeah, Peter, I had just finished working as a colorist on his feature, No Place, and we really enjoyed working together. And he's like, hey, I have this idea for that I want to pitch you. So we jumped on a call. I literally thought he was pitching me like the next film that he wanted to do, because we talked about wanting to work together more, and we talked about like me shooting for him, so that's where I thought it was going. And he pitched me this idea of this agoraphobic podcaster takes these drugs and doesn't want to leave her house, and things are coming to come get her for whatever reason. And he's like, I don't know, there's a bunch of different ideas, and it was like 20 pages of like scenes and ideas. It's like the first third, and then maybe this could happen. And then he's like, and when I talked to him about it, I said, I love this idea. I'd love to be involved. He goes, cool. Well, you should take this and write something with it. We write it together. I produce and you direct. And I was like, oh, And then he encouraged me. Like, honestly, Peter, hi, I love you, dude. He is like the best. He's a gift as a collaborator. He's like the best co-writer one of the best co-writers. Yeah, I love work. He's the best co-writer I've had. Like we've he very much like was not just a cheerleader, but like a really intense advocate for me to like kind of push further, dig deeper, make sure I'm getting what I want. Like he championed the film before it was the film and was like, go figure this out. And I came back to him with like, I took all the ideas and this happened, and it became something very different that we both fell in love with. And then we like had notes and discussions and rewrote it through the drafts. But that was conversations. I go alone in a room and talk. And that's usually what works for me is like conversations, and then we have follow-ups. Like I'm doing a different co-writing process on this new script right now. We've had conversations sitting on the couch in the same room, and I've like just jotted down notes, and then I've gone off and just like written and then come back and we discuss about it. Mm-hmm. So there's not like, it's more just conversational and talking it out, which is kind of the best thing for me. That's actually more helpful sometimes than physical writing, because it changes it from me having that conversation with bad voices in my head alone in a room, and I can like workshop it with someone. Yeah. So
now, we're going to get into a little bit of psychology here, especially for the writing. Are you a different person when you're writing a feature versus directing? And this may actually be a question for Emily. She may be able to answer this one a little bit better.
She should be nodding. I feel like I am, but I guess that's up to you.
I think that because of the way we have to do our indie film stuff, we have to wear so many hats. So it almost is okay, and now I am putting on this hat to go into this mode. Yeah. I would say like Jake's I met Jake when he was directing, and that is the Jake that is the truest Jake. And it's like, wow, this guy is in his element. He commands the room, commands a crowd.
It is the only time and place I'm actually comfortable in this world.
And then writer Jake is the hermit in the cave. So like I think you would agree, like even color grading Jake is different than editing Jake is different than writing Jake.
Pre principal and post Jake are very different pieces or personalities. I think they all work together because it's like I'm thinking about that stuff while I'm writing, you know. It's like
so we've started a mental health medication commercial here somewhere along the lines, I think.
If you are someone you know, please reach out. Yeah.
Remember, this may cause a lot of problems that we won't talk about here. Oh, hi. Hey, this is future Brad, or past Brad. I can't really keep that straight. Just interrupting you for just a minute to tell you about our sponsor, Fiberglass Freak's Batman Museum. That's right, an actual museum dedicated to the 1966 Batman TV show. What could be better? It's right here in Logansport, Indiana, and it is an amazing place. Mark Rakup, who owns the place, is actually DC and Warner Brothers' only official builder of 1966 Batmobile replicas. I'm not talking some little toy. I'm talking about a full-size working car. And you can go to the museum and see some of those right now. Plus all the toys from when you were a kid, everything dealing with Batman, especially the 1966 show. Go on in there, and if you go in there and tell them that the Working Writer Podcast sent you, you get $2 off your admission right now. So go in. You have no excuse not to go. So let's go back to the show. I'm sure it's more interesting than I am. So watch the podcast and then get to writing.
That's why we're artists. We put it into the art.
I mean, art's therapy, right?
Yeah.
Art is definitely something. Therapy may be one of them.
Something.
Yes.
Or the reason you go to therapy. Either way.
Yes.
Now, Emily, when you are looking at, because you're heavily involved in theater, you're still the president of the Evansville Civic Theater.
Yes.
Do you have to look at stage scripts differently than his film scripts?
Yeah, I mean, yes, that's where I started my journey. It was in theater. So looking at, I mean, the format is even different whenever you approach a play versus a movie. One of the most interesting things is usually the movie you're working on, or at least for me, like I know who the writer is, or I'm really close to the creative process. But then, like one of the shows we did this season was Our Town by Thornton Wilder, which is one of the great American plays, and it can be done. Do you know Our Town?
Yes.
Or okay.
Yes.
So a lot of the action is done in pantomime. That's for the people watching who don't know. And pantomime is like miming. And depending on how engaged you get the audience at the start of the show affects how they see the characters at the end when they have this big emotional kind of ethereal moment in a graveyard. But it also can be if it doesn't land right, if you don't find like the magical moments, it is a play about the everyday lives of people. So if you don't capture that magic of the everyday on stage, well, then maybe that audience doesn't get it. But then you have a chance to do it again the next night.
Yeah.
So looking at a script in that regard as an actor, you've got references usually to past performances, or in a script a lot of times the original production stage manager's stage directions are written in. In almost every movie script I've encountered, the director, especially if the director is the writer, they're already directing within the script how they want the scene to go. So like you've got that all.
You kind of can cheat and just write the shooting script if you're not.
So those are the main differences. Usually I've approached it before, or you can see the difference of like, house lights up and but tackling it as an actor, like for character work, it's very similar. I would say that the biggest difference is in the execution of the performance, where one art form with theater, especially if you're in a larger house, you have to kind of, so now I'm going to get into my actor hippie woo-woo things. You put your subject, your target, or you open up your awareness so that your intentions and your action can be perceived by a person who's farther away. But in film, you know what the frame is, and so you can you don't have to expand your awareness that far. Your target is closer to you, and you capture the same emoting, you capture the same or a similar performance even with character, but you just kind of tailor the performance to the medium or even the space that you're in. Because I've done black box theater performances where the audience is so close, and that actually my training in black box theaters is probably what helps me translate to film so much smoother than maybe somebody else might experience. Though my friend Mikhail Drobny, who's also in Compression, he plays Bob the engineer. He directed me in a short, and he always said, first take is Broadway Emily, and second take is Dot, the character I played. She's in. So I
would agree with that. I think I use very few of your first takes.
It burns! Oh, it burns!
I think that with Compression, because we were in that house every day, because I got to be Hazel more often, I had fewer Broadway takes. I would think, like, I don't have the playing to the back row. Maybe just a little bit of a sinking into the hot tub, like, adjustment period. Just like, oh, okay, now we're feeling comfy.
I think that you have a really good grip on just the transition from stage to screen. Like, I think you're very smooth at it. And it's like good but dialed in for format, and in a really kind of, it's more effortless than you think it is. You're very good at it.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Dave will be doing some artwork for this counseling podcast that we're going through now. As we go from mental health to couples counseling.
Again, we have this number at the bottom of the screen.
Do you need your act?
Please do not drive any heavy equipment while listening to this podcast. We'll make it easy. But hey, there was a great point brought up, though, Jake. When you are writing your scripts, because you're directing most of them at the same time, are you going ahead and writing the emotional beats in as to what you want from your actors, or do you give some rehearsal time and get that from your actors in the rehearsal?
Okay, in all fairness, there is sort of a blend of the two, but I probably put fewer like emotional or stage direction or directions for the performance in there, but I do try to write the action and describe everything so that it sounds like how it'll feel once I put all the elements together. It's like you want to kind of like feel the idea of the movie. I'll be honest, like, okay, so the way I wrote compressions of this new one, vastly different. Like, the scripted compression is kind of short, and I didn't describe a lot of detail. I put things like, the drugs kick in, and that would be like a 4-minute sequence. So, like, I sort of wrote it with, I don't know, sandbox to play, but I know what I want out of it. So, like, I kind of, like, in this one, having gone through, because it had been a long time since I directed a feature when we did compression, if I'm being honest, and so it was sort of like a resharpening the blades and learning some new skills at the same time. I know what I want, the emotional aspects, and, like, you know, do it like this, for lack of a better way of putting it, to be. But I like to save that for conversation on set, because I don't want to be like, I didn't get to have that conversation, they just read it. And also, sometimes, even though I go into everything with like a very specific, this is what I want, I don't do line readings, but if you're like, I want everything like this, I have a loaded like reference point for everything. But when you collaborate with talented artists, you want to see what they bring to the table. And sometimes, if I write a line of dialogue and I just like convey in the action the tonality of how I want the scene to be, maybe they'll be like, I think the line feels like this. Because by the time we're filming, they should know the characters better than me. I mean, like, I wrote them, but they've lived them at that point. So it's like, I kind of want to like not cut myself off from that valve or whatever to like see what fruit might bear from, well, what are your ideas? And then I can see how that matches up and aligns or disconnects from what I want. And then we get to have a conversation. Directing is my favorite part of everything. Like, I learned how to write because I wanted to direct a movie. Well, you need a script. I learned how to edit because now it's got to get put together. I learned how to color because what's that? Oh, we have to do that. Titles. I learned how to make a poster. It was all just, I want to direct a movie. I'm lucky enough that I have a lot of people that I can work with, but there was a certain point where, like, over time, where it's just like, I need to learn this so I can do this, because I don't want to be like, I don't know. So directing's my favorite part. I won't let the other parts take the joy of that away, because it's the shortest part. You're writing for a really long time. You're in prep for a really long time. You shoot, it's like that. Then you're in post for a long time. My favorite part is like a lightning bolt, and it's there and gone, and I want to soak up as much of it as I can. So I actually intentionally don't get too descriptive in that. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you're like any sort of direction that you give in that is more moving through the room to this place, like the blocking.
You're the Kindle and I'm the Barbie, and Jake's like, kiss like this.
Yeah. Versus like at this point a single tear falls from his eye.
You cry well on camera, by the way. You cry
so
well.
Much.
Yeah, bitch. I'm losing my mind.
You're a self-fulfilling prophecy here.
But
How do you cry well on camera? That
I have to
pisses me
give
off.
credit to my little tool called a tear stick. It's one of those menthol sticks that you put under your eye, and it makes your eyes burn. And
I was going to let you say it was natural, and you just came up with it.
Honestly,
She had to do so much of it.
There was so much of it, and there are some scenes like the therapy scene where like the emotions needed to come and meet me at that level. But for me as a person, if I know it's okay, if I know I'm okay, then it's going to be hard for me to emote in that way. So having the tool of the menthol that burns your eyes, and then you can start leaning into that, and then finding the feeling that I will always talk about it, because it's a useful tool if you can't cry on cue, especially post what you have available to make the art. And thank you so much for the compliment. We had some rough days.
Yeah.
And there were some days I was crying all day, so I didn't want to have to live in like a, well, what if all my family died headspace, or like I'm not gonna let myself do that, because I know it's hard for me to come back from that kind of a thing. So
For you young actors out there, what she just says, you don't have to be method 24/7.
You don't have to
Yes.
be miserable to make art that's kind of miserable.
you always have to have a way back to yourself. And if you need certain tools, or if you know, like, okay, yeah, I know this memory is going to help trigger the emotion or where I want to get, then you've got to be able to de-roll and say, you know what, yes, I lived in that moment for a bit, but I'm here, I'm safe, I'm grounded, and then go from there. So there's like a bit of a marrying the method to some sort of practicality. And I think for me, like, the theater work has helped that, because in theater I've had roles where I've had to have scenes that I've cried, and I've been lucky enough that the roles I'm thinking of, I played Kate Monster in Avenue Q, and I also played Wayne in the play Puffs. And
Oh, yeah.
there's a build up for the characters to the point where tears come,
Sure.
and it lent to that through the script. And then with the stop and start nature of film, well, I don't have that build up necessarily.
We need you to jump into this part. So,
It's like, okay.
I remember when, like, I was really excited when I found that out. I should give credit where credit is due, because I was up late one night playing scenes, and I watched this old movie that I love by Joe Swanberg called Silver Bullets. And the ending shot of that movie is, because it's about it's like actors making a werewolf movie, and it's like, I love the film, but at the end it's just this ending single take of this actress just like putting her makeup on and like looking directed in the camera, and she like takes this clear stick and puts on her eyes and just stares until she cries. And I was like, that wasn't lipstick. I didn't know tear sticks were a thing. I was like, what happened in this scene? I googled it, and I went to like Amazon. I was like, hey, I'm gonna buy this, and we're gonna try it and see if this helps like start. And that was so. Thank you, Joe Swanberg. I appreciate it. Yeah.
That was a huge help.
I'm at the risk of my ADHD doing a thing. I was still kind of half in our talk about like writing the emotional stuff earlier, and this quote popped in my mind that I think kind of describes how like I approach writing. My favorite filmmaker is Ingmar Bergman, and I might mess this quote up, but I think he said something once like, "I write my scripts as skeletons awaiting the flesh and sinew later of cinema," or something.
Nice.
And that's how I
Nice.
approach it. Like I said, when it's a skeleton, I'm like the working with the collaborators and like, you know, the cinematography and the color and the score and all the things that like enhance and underline and bold and highlight and italicize the things that you're supposed to feel when you watch said scene. That, yeah, I just that's the flesh and the sinew and the muscle and all, you know, the thing that makes it breathe. But you know, the script to me is, it's the bones. So
Now, when you get a script from somebody else, you're directing somebody else's script,
okay.
whether it's a short, full length, whatever the case may be. How descriptive do you want them to be in the shots versus how much freedom do you want to have in the shots?
I would like it as not detailed as possible, because I'll be honest, I think you have to serve the script, but if it gets too rigid and it needs to be this way, I'm like, then I'm just painting by numbers a little bit. So like, for me, I would need to be able to like approach it visually in a way that makes sense, and not because now sometimes the script's like, this makes sense, and because the way it's written, this has to be a POV because it's character specific. There's obviously like, you know, exceptions to that, but at the risk of being probably what any director would say, it's like, I'd like to come up with my own ideas, but I mean, that's all different. I've never like, I don't think anything that I can recall that I've ever directed from something that I hadn't written where I was like, yeah, no, we're changing that. So like, I haven't been in that situation, thankfully, but if I would like see something, I'd want the opportunity to be like, you gotta let the storyteller tell it plain. Yeah. Can I, like, you know, but obviously, if I'm doing my job right, I'm still serving the story, and I'm not taking it like into an intention that's wrong. So, you know, respect obviously needs to be paid. There's nuances there,
But as opposed to when you're writing for yourself and you know you're going to be directing it,
yeah.
do you get very detailed in your shots in the script then?
I sometimes do, just because like in those ideas, I'm like, well, I'm going to have to write that in as a shooting script later, and it's going to help the team be a little more, rather than I like, if it's like camera moves and stuff, technical stuff, like, hey, this is like we're wide and we push in and go, like sometimes I'll describe that, especially if it's like something that's for the story. Like, I know Dave's going to be on this, like the opening scene of the original Halloween. It's like, you know that something like that, you're going to write the way it's going to be shot. As opposed to, we're walking on a sidewalk and two characters are talking, and we'll figure out how that's shot later. So it depends also on what you're writing, I guess I'd say.
Well, you do a lot of great how do I want to say this? Sweeping vistas
Oh, thank you.
in your films. I love watching your shot selection. Are those a of the moment thing? Oh, we've got golden hour. Let's go out and get that shot. Or are you looking for that from the script on?
I was like, forgive me, you mean during shooting or in the edit?
Yeah, during shooting.
There's some of the, if I'm thinking of maybe what you're referencing, the sunset and flashback, those scenes. So that particular day, we knew we were going out and we were going to hike at the Garden of the Gods in Illinois, not very far from here. So we knew it was going to line up with Magic Hour, and then that's it. We didn't really have, it was just, okay, we're capturing moments of their past, and let's see how that plays out. So that was really more of a...
That one in particular, we knew we wanted to get Magic Hour. I knew I wanted stuff with them, like on the rocks, like Magic Hour. So I grabbed Emily and Kevin and we drove out there, like right as sunset was starting to hit. We shot all the stuff that's Emily and Kevin, like on the cliffs in the woods and any of those flashbacks. That was like literally 1 hour of shooting. We were only there for like Magic Hour, and I was like, jump up there, go over there. I'm running way over here, and it was just like grab. Everything was shot like I was shooting everything at 120 frames per second because I knew that would be like really slow. So it's like, I just needed tiny clips because like, I think that wide shot, it's not like a really long shot, but it becomes like a minute long shot because I shot it in slow motion. So like, we did that very quick, very run and gun. That was honestly one of the most like the easiest, most comfortable days on set. We shot that before principal photography.
That was our
Wow.
That was
our first day.
That was like that was the first or second day of shooting because we started flashback stuff before we got on set into the house. But
Folks who are listening or watching, when you see compression, you'll see what we're talking about. It's a beautiful film. It really is.
Thank you.
I loved watching it. The emotion that comes through, which between the script and between you, Emily, and Kevin, and what's going on in that film, is just how I want to say. I'm old, so I'm trying not to say it's so choice.
That lands with me. I guess I'm old too.
It's sublime. Oh, thank you.
Sometimes you're just old and you're not in with the kids' lingo. That's just the way it goes.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I really, I that means like it's. I think it's a slice of our heart. So it's always like, knowing you never know how that's going to connect with people. So like that genuinely means a lot. Thank you.
But when we're talking about scripting itself, do you actually write a longer script than you're going to use, or do you bare bones it and hope that it will flesh out by the time you're in the edit?
Ooh, it depends. Compression, I think the script was a little too bare, honestly. Like for me, like when I go back and read it, and a lot of the dialogue changed in the edit. Like I went through a bunch of different edits. Like the first cut of the movie was like 2 hours and 45 minutes without credits. So like it got re-workshopped a bunch. But and we added scenes, like as we were shooting some of the flashback, like the scene with the spider, that was not in the script. There was a whole sequence when the drugs were kicking in, and I had an instance where she was going to be interacting with the painting, and I was like, we have a lot of her doing stuff with the painting, and I was like, I think I want to do something different. And then Eli Bowen, my boy, who was working on set, he's like, there's a spider hanging from the table right there, and we had like those colored lights just kind of sitting everywhere, and it was like lighting the string, and I was like, get on the floor and just stare at the spider, and then like, and so like, and it would crawl up the table, and then we would like kind of like, no. We were trying to like not scare him, but we're like, hey, can you hang from your web? And we would just like walk our fingers, and eventually he would drop. Go again. We shot that spider for an hour. Yeah, I dropped a scene so we could play, and it ended up just being better. So
my God,
I leave room for playing sometimes. Like I said, the new script, I'm being a little more structured in the action description, and like this is what it's going to be like, having learned going through that with compression. Like,
so does that mean we have to add Spider Wrangler to the list of credits as well?
I should have. I mean, like, I
I don't know that you handled the spider.
No, it would have been Eli.
So it would have been Eli and me. I
Yeah.
got fairly close.
Yeah.
So
Because here's the thing. I'm arachnophobic. I'm like, just.
you
But it's,
I'll be back here
He's a
behind
tiny
you.
boy. He was
He's
cute.
just little. He's just a little guy.
it wasn't
That's
in
why
the-
we have zoom lenses. I'll be in the next building filming the spider.
Yes.
Now, Emily, when he looks at you and says, "This isn't the script, but just get down there and stare at this thing," as an actor, is that great for you, or do you go, "Oh, shit, this is different"?
You think with that pivot?
In that particular instance, the whole point of that stretch of hours was the drugs have dropped. And so, in my mind, like, both Emily and Hazel were like, yes, game for anything. So I think that if it had been more of a structured, scripted moment, I might have had some kind of a jarring feeling, but it was just like, no, yeah, this is better. Like, this is happening here in real life, so let's put some more real life into what we're doing. So that instance, yes. Other times, like, if I know I'm gonna do a dramatic scene, and then it was actually, let's like do this funny scene next, and be like, okay, I gotta switch modes real quick. Like, somebody tell me about
tone shift.
like, yeah. But no, I was happy to jump on that wagon. The spider was very cool.
That was.
Did we name him?
So, Jake, when you're scripting, what is your trick for giving characters different voices? Because when I'm writing, I almost, depending on what I'm writing, I'll get to the point where I'll use an actor's voice that I know. There's Samuel L. Jackson in everything I write, so there has to be.
Yeah,
I love that.
I actually don't have a trick. I try to focus on it. One thing that threw me off, I won't say, when I did get a note on the draft of the new script where they're like, all the voices sound the same, and I was like, I didn't think so, but note taken. I'll look at that again. So that always happens in the rewrite for me. Sometimes some characters' voices come out a little like clearer in draft one, and and you can tell which one's like, oh, Jake has figured out more, and then which ones I'm still figuring it out. There's a few in this one I'm like, I don't know their personalities and their name might change, but I need them to do this, and it makes sense thematically. So like I do like character passes where I change, like I kind of like laser in and fine tune and hone the voices to make them a little more unique and dynamic for each character on the rewrite. I wish I had a trick for it. Like I said, I'm kind of an emotional artist. There is a little bit of like a gut check thing when I'm like, that feels right, and then obviously like listening to notes from people and like just filtering is this something that is in line? Like I got a lot of notes on compression that I did consider, but I you don't take every note. But it's it's a process. I don't know. Like if I figure out my trick, I'll let you know. Right now, I'm just beat it in a corner until it makes sense to me.
That's why you have actors to say, "What if I say ain't instead of isn't?"
They make it better. Well, it's got to sound right coming out of their mouths. Because I'm picky about like I want like there's a little that Tarantino thing like say the line this way because it sounds cool, and then sometimes that sounds weird coming out of an actual human being. So then like as long as you're getting the core of what it is at, like we modify things to make it like a little more in the voice of the person playing the character if we need to.
I remember when I first read Compression, I knew immediately who my best friend Michelle was going to play because I could tell that Sienna's voice, Hazel's sister, was her.
She was one of the most figured out on first draft.
Yeah. You
could tell what I voted for.
Yeah. So I think in that way, whenever you know who you're writing for, it's almost like you don't do the actor's work for them, but you do something similar where I know how they speak and I know how they would say this thing. So let's try to like see where that direction can go. Like you write it in that way.
And that's a benefit that I'll admit, like I'm in a very fortunate position to have when it's like you're writing for people you've worked with or know before. It's like, well, if I'm writing for someone, I kind of like whether I've directed them or seen them and stuff, like everyone in Compression are people I worked with to some level before, at least in front of the camera for the most part, or seen. If I hadn't directed them, I was aware of their work. So it's sort of like, in addition to you try effort getting the part, it's like I know what you can do, and if I've written it for someone with their voice in mind and I've seen their work, it's like I kind of was like, Michelle will be good at this, and this makes sense in a Michelle voice.
So
Hazel was fun to figure out for you, though. That was a lot of work. She's my favorite character I've ever written.
so monologues or not, do you like them? Do you
I love them. I love
do
them.
you put them? Okay, we've gotten your take, Emily.
I love monologues. I can monologue all day.
I love a monologue. I remember when you were like, "Hey, this part is just gonna be voiceover," and then I was prepared for a voiceover, and you're like, "Well, I'm gonna capture it on film," so and I was like, "Okay, I'll hasty memorize."
I wanted the option to be able to cut back to you and not be stuck.
I really don't. I don't. And then in the final edit, the sections that were voiceover remain voiceover. Anyway, so couples there.
Your performance is amazing.
Thank you. I love you so much.
So.
I don't mind a monologue, especially because I think Jake writes them in such a way that it does take you on a journey. I always have to reference the therapy scene because she's like, okay,
I think that's my favorite moment.
I'm gonna lash out in a big way at you, and this is why I know why I do what I do, and whatever. And I think you do such a beautiful job with it. But yeah, memorizing it just.
Well, yeah.
That's a whole other story.
I really love writing them. The hardest part is when you have like a moment where it's like, this is a talky moment, and we're just gonna like let the performer perform. Camera kind of may push in, but mostly shuts up. It's if someone's gonna talk and demand that much attention, it's like you just got to make sure that the words aren't, hey, we're describing everything in exposition. And I know some people are like, I don't want to know the feelings. Like, I love Mike Flanagan, but I've heard a lot of people like, there's too many monologues. I'm like, there's not enough.
I do love a Mike Flanagan monologue.
I love a good monologue,
I love
not a poorly executed.
Let me into the character's brain, and maybe that's like my theater kid heart is like, I want to hear your words instead of just seeing your mind work. Yes, I'm here for it. Put it into words. Yes.
Well, we thank everybody for coming along to this session here on the couch. I hope that it's been good for you. Tell me real quick, Jake. First, what do you got coming up next? What's the film that's going in now?
I don't know if we're ready to talk about it, but we are going into pre-production on a new one. More to come later this year. I'd say follow us on Instagram to keep if you want to know as we know more about that. Okay. My favorite music video I've ever directed is actually releasing this Friday. I directed a horror comedy music video for Fred's band, The Chugs, and it is called Drunk in a Graveyard, and that is dropping on Friday. So that
dropping where?
YouTube. Yes. So.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so
Emily, what's coming up for you?
Coming up for me. What is coming up for me? Well, in my theater admin land, kind of, we've got our centennial celebration gala coming up, so we're gearing up for that. So it's 100 years of Evansville Civic Theater here in town. So that's our big celebration. I'm trying to think of. I just did a gig with the Philharmonic for their Young People's concert. I played a character similar to Carmen Sandiego. I was Carmen Klangfarben, and so I trying to steal the baton from the conductor, and that was a lot of fun. Is there anything? I think.
On that, we partner with the Philharmonic, so we're working on their season announcement trailer coming up soon.
Oh,
we do
fantastic!
So, and we just finished their last concert video, which was last week. They played Mahler 5. It was beautiful. So good. But so yeah, we have some of the corporate work in addition to all the narrative stuff too.
Yeah.
All right, tell the folks where they can find you online.
Okay, you can find everything at cinefreakpictures.com or on Instagram.
Spell Cinefreak for the folks.
CINEPHREAK Pictures, all one word.
There we go. And hopefully, go ahead, Emily.
Oh, I was gonna say I am. We mostly do collaborative posts these days, anyways. But I'm at EMJDURCH_. You'll find me if you find Jake. So I'm not worried about that. EMJDurk_.
And you do have to pronounce her last name correctly, or else she will not talk to you.
It's true.
We have found that out.
I need to.
Well, let me say that you are the cutest two people that we've had on the podcast yet at one time.
Thank you. Oh.
And I appreciate you coming on. We are going to be seeing a lot more from you, and hopefully we will talk to you again very soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We look forward to it.
I keep telling people, and we said it in the intro for this, Indiana is a great place to shoot, and we have the talent, we have the drive, and we have the people who want to make great film here.
Yeah, those guys are so talented. Jake is one of the people I used to collaborate a lot with when I worked in lived in Indiana. Like, I think you were the first person I started doing stuff with, and then I started working slowly with him. I met him on a 48-hour film shoot, and then we kind of connected from there, and we've collaborated on a lot of things, and he's gone on to do some amazing things. And I can't wait to see what they have brewing for their next film. And if you get a chance, if you're out there, you got a weekend, you're like, I just really want to see a really, really well-made independent film, just pick up Compression. I think it's currently on Prime for renting for like $7 maybe, or that might even be the buying price. I think it's like $3 to rent, and it's like you buy the thing for $9, and it's Fandango on demand as well. It's available there. So they did drop that it would be releasing a few other places, and I think he said that they are working on a physical release that'll be probably later this year, if not early into next year, which Jake loves his physical releases. That's usually when the deal breaker with him is when he wants to get his film out there. It's like, can I get a physical release?
So you'll be able to find it later this year on Betamax.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the way it was meant to be watched.
That's right. Betamax,
way.
if you've got a 1978 Betamax player, you will be able to see the film later this year.
It was the filming and the audio were all formatted for the Betamax.
That's right. That's right. Two-track audio, but taken down to mono just to make it that much better.
Yeah, it's great.
We're lying,
if you have
Jake.
a knob. Say if you have a little left or right knob,
you can back and forth. You have to be wearing headphones, though. You have to be wearing big headphones with a 1/4-inch jack.
Perfect.
Sorry, my age is really showing now. No, Jake and Emily, that was great.
It's like you're teaching people.
That's right. That's right. We're teaching people things that are now no longer.
I'm actually at that age now where I make references and people don't understand them. So like that's fun, because I'm like, things that you like, everyone knows this. Like, everyone knows this, and you're like, oh my God, that's 25 years ago. No, people don't know that.
No, 25 years ago is still in the 2000s. That's the horrible thing.
Oh God, yeah, you're right.
So anyway,
Yeah.
Jake and Emily, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We will keep talking about things that are very old, or you could just tune into my Gen X coffee talk every day. I talk about things that are very old all the time. But go follow Jake and Emily on their socials. They'll be very happy to talk to you, and they're great folks. But you know what you need to do is write to us. Write to us at workingwriterpodcast@gmail.com, or send us a note right here where you're watching or listening to this. Give us a rating. Forward this to people. That's always good. It's an early Christmas present. You just forward this to somebody. It doesn't cost anything. Early Christmas present. They'll love it. But we would love to hear from you. So until next time, make the most of your time. And remember, at all times, writing is more than just a job. It's a passion. Always pay your bills, but follow your passion. But for now, get to writing.